Hey everyone, and welcome back. The 2.2 patch notes just dropped. Later today will be the first episode of the new playthrough, but I'm just going to go through the patch notes. I haven't looked at them yet. We did read the announcements page like a week ago or so. So let's get right into it. These don't appear to be too long, not as long as like 2.0. Um, so yeah, some engine changes. Main menu layout was reworked. Uh, Vendor grid size to accommodate a Tartarus theme. Okay. Added in-game ping to the auto map game information. Reworked how experience is divided among players. I play single player, so that's not important. Extended the carry one functionality from charms to add charm groups. This is the foundation of the relic rework. Warning, unsocket your relics before patches live, or the game will eat them. Yeah. Okay. Um, Quality of life. All items can now be unsocketed as long as they aren't rune words, which means socket fillers can be recovered in case rune order goes wrong. Added a button in the inventory to automatically collect all items that could go into containers. That I'm very excited for. I'm hoping it counts the ones in your stash. Re-added town portal delay, but at 1 second instead of 3. Okay. Quest changes. Duncrag enlarged a few sections and added a few passages. 25% overall gain in enemies spawning areas. Slightly reduced drop rates. Okay, so more enemies but lower drop rate to balance that out. Increase the Great Rune drop chances. I farmed for like 4 hours to get a Taha. That's nice to see. Skazglen, there's a ton of changes. Added a couple of new paths, 10% overall gain in enemy spawning areas, slightly increased density, improved unique and set item drop chance, nice. Reduced excessive defense from mobs and corrupted druids, increased experience by 10%. Etherborns removed Weatherstorm screen flickering. Spriggan reduced fire punch damage. Oh, thank God. Dryad spawn reduced chance to flee, making it more forgiving for melee builds. That's also very nice. Corrupted Druids. Reduced ally damage reduction granted by aura. Reduced chance to hit. Corrupted Wolf replaced Mana Leech with Mana Drain aura. Reduced physical damage, attack rating, and Twisted Claw level. Cryptid Hunter. Okay. Higher zones in the stage now have a permanent blizzard effect. Oh god. Ominous Guardian. No longer despawns. Reduced spawning frequency. Reduced ally damage reduction granted by aura. 11th Eye, new mini boss located in the Skazglen Cemetery. Yep, we read about that in the announcement. Tenants and tenant designs no longer spawn in treasure boxes. Instead, the corrupted bosses have a 20% chance to spawn the designs and 1% chance for a tenant. Huh. Okay. Interesting. It's going to be a lot harder to farm the charm for Skazglen then. Or maybe it'll be easier. I don't know. We'll have to see. Treasure of Fiakla gear. Enchanted Rune and Arcane Crystals are now both cubed on the first step. Unlock gold cost now varies depending on the rune used. Reworked all outcomes, removed equipment from item pool, and increased UMO relics cycle biases instead, in addition to extra crystals. Tridalra's Oakseed renamed to Dulra Aegis. Yep. Corrupted Box now only requires one Arcane Crystal in addition to Rune to unlock. Cool. Some changes to Phobos. I won't be doing any high-end lab, as you guys know. Legion of the Damned. Reduce number of zombies and fallen heroes spawned in the last wave to reduce lag. Greatly increase health of the damned souls, which unlock difficulty additions. Okay. Kingdom of Shadow removed unexciting zone prior to zombie arena, now connected directly to Vizjeri Temple. How's Reworked map, adding a connection to the world. Ah, okay. That's what I was thinking, like, how are we gonna get to the witch then? But that makes sense. Um, that's annoying, actually. um, now requires 120 to access, down from 125 for Taroja. Area level reduced to 120 from 126. Slightly reduced density. Okay. Eye of Destruction now requires 125 to access, up from 120. Area level increased to 125. Fixed a bug preventing visions from spawning on hell difficulty. Will now drop a relic the first time you kill him. Ooh, so Bale's gonna go back to being more difficult. So that should be an interesting thing. Reduce physical resistance and magic resistance. Yep, that's good. Make him a little easier to kill. Namir's Light. Now located in the Kingdom of Shadow. Atonicon reduced physical resistance from 40 to 35. Magic resistance from reduced health by 10%. Nice. Okay, that's going to be a little more doable then. That's nice. Spirit World. Reduced physical resistance and magic resistance. Increased health by 10%. Nests reduced health by 38%. Oh, thank God. That is really nice to see because I haven't been able to kill Giyua on any of my builds because the nests are just take way too long to kill. Soul of Pride now takes less time to kill on low health, and this is not translated here, but Sescheron's Destroyer, new dungeon boss in Skosglin, drops a fruit that upgrades the Durla all Aegis, providing 1 all skill, 5 max life, 25 magic find, 3 sacred uniques, up to 3 sacred uniques, chance to drop a relic. Wow. 1 all skill, 5% max life is a really nice charm. It's an upgrade to the Dulra Aegis, so you do have to farm the Aegis first. But it looks like it's going to be more consistent with how you farm it now. As opposed to before, it was super random through the boxes. You just had to hope you got the pieces. Now you can like specifically farm out each of the tenets, and they're what, a 20% chance to spawn the design and a 1% chance for the tenet. So it's still going to be a grind as it was, but it's going to be a little bit better probably, hopefully. General, melee mastery, clarified description, added physical resistance to mercenary stat screen, nice. Re-added mercenary resistance, turning gold at 75% max res. So Javelin, Amazon. Deadly Dance now reduces Deadly Strike by 15%, up from 10. Elemental Aegis maximum absorb is now 13, down from 15. Indomitable fixed a bug causing block chance to always be 50% instead of maximum block. Yo, that's really nice. Noxious Mastery now requires Eviscerate. Gemling now requires Eviscerate. Okay. So they're not just floating, they require Eviscerate. The big thing with these is that that means that you have to actually take Eviscerate for it, as opposed to being able to just take them without investing anything into the Javelin tree. Reward Spirit of Vengeance no longer requires a corpse. Quality of life, good stuff. Assassin, General, now obtains 2% life per point into Endurance. Claw, Summon Familiars, Bat duration now affected by Continuity Mastery. That's really nice. Nocdual, reduced sound effects. Barbarian, Earthshaker, Earthquake no longer gains flat physical damage after skill level 28. Physical synergy increased to 14% per base level, up from 10. Max skill level is now 20. Okay. Fortress, increase attack speed damage per second, increased by 11%. Projectile speed increased by 15%. Okay. That was just the general Fortress changes we read about in the announcement. They talked about making it better. Some Wereowl changes. Increased move speed. That's nice. Ferocity now adds flat physical damage at low levels. Egg Trap, now level 25 skill. Greatly increased base lightning. Birds now pierce through enemies, massively increasing damage potential in high density zones. So yeah, they pierce. Now shoots 2 Novas instead of 3. Increase attack speed animation, now able to reach 8 frames per attack. Replace Quill Sound on skills with bird ones. Thorn Wall, increase weapon damage by 11%. I believe that should be Earth Talons. Progeny's Blessing, now affected by Continuity Mastery, now heals you based on Egg Trap base level. Cool. Melee Necromancer Reaper. Due to limitations in the game engine, Splash Effect now has 0% conversion to magic. The conversion wasn't working. Now affected by Continuity Mastery. Okay. Abyss Knight, now a spellcaster minion, no longer have physical damage nor attack rating. Their spells always hit. Main attack now deals magic damage and properly scales with minion damage now. Sorceress Arcane. Tooltip now shows damage from full hit. Better indicates skill for a single target. Okay. Gains additional 1% to total damage per character level above 110. Now adds an additional projectile to immersion. Okay. And Force Shout, clarified description. Okay. Class changes seem to be nothing crazy. Big focus is obviously on the O skills. There's a lot of these that have changed. Apocalypse. Apocalypse is one of the skills used by Diablo in the original Diablo 1 game. As such, it should 1. Require great ability from the caster, and 2. Should not be available early on. To implement the first part, a high level of the skill will be required in order to activate it. This also leverages the numerous sources which carry the O skill. In addition, a good investment into mana will be required to fit the theme. As for the second part, the tiered unique sources of this O skill will be removed, and the required level of the rare affix will be increased. Damage is now always the equivalent of the old 120 Apocalypse. It does not scale with skill levels. It will be castable from skill level 62 onwards. If you have a lower level, you will not be able to play with the skill. Will deal 50% more damage if your current mana is higher than your maximum life. Now reaches its maximum damage range 63% faster. Area of effect increased by 21%. Mana cost is fixed at 125. Level 33 required for rare affix. Procs on tiered uniques replaced with Fire Splash. Apocalypse proc on Stygian Fury now 63 up from 60. Auto da Fe replaced Apocalypse with Flamefront. The Magister replaced Apocalypse with Flamefront, slightly reduced skill levels. So that seems interesting, but probably still not a very good skill. We'll see if people use it. Phoenix Wave. Concept of Phoenix is a mythical bird which can be regenerated in a burst of flames and combustion. The skill is being improved by fine-tuning the mechanics and increasing the damage and utility through thematic scaling. Skill changes. Wave speed has been doubled. Wave maximum range has been increased by 16%. That's nice. Wave will no longer be obstructed by unwalkable ground terrain such as rocks and water puddles. That's also very nice. Now restores a percentage of your maximum life per cast based on your character class. Paladin and Sorceress 0.2, other classes 0.4. The above values are set so that slower casters will be compensated for the lower damage output with more regeneration. Amount healed increased by 100% if you have at least 2800 energy and 200% if you're at least 3600 energy. Damage increased by 27%, reduced damage variance. Fire spell damage now applies at 180% of value. With cold, lightning, poison spell damage applied at minus 75% of value. Okay. For example, an item with 10% fire and cold spell damage will now increase Phoenix Wave damage by 11%. An item with 10% to all spell damage will decrease damage by 4%. Oh, so it lowers... Okay. Chaotic Spark replaces Static Lance. Concept and ability that scales with cast speed, both mechanically with faster animations through the use of an on-cast proc, and numerically from your uncapped cast speed incentivizing more speed scaling past lowest frame breakpoint. This O skill will be restricted to paladins and sorceresses who are able to best make use of the ability through their fast cast speeds. Skill changes: now fires 4 projectiles up from 3. Next delay removed, main projectiles can now shotgun. Ooh. Main projectiles no longer pierce but instead explode in a small area on impact. 20% chance to trigger a charge nova on cast, releasing 32 piercing projectiles around you. Damage increased by 452%. Charge nova stuns enemies for 0.5 seconds on hit. Damage scaling cap from spell focus is tripled for this skill. Wow. Your cast speed stat also counts as spell focus for this skill. Oh. Item changes. Now only spawns on sorceress body armor and paladin helms. See, that's super interesting. That's a skill I may want to play with. That's a fun one. Arcane Swarm. Concept numerical analysis compared to the closest scaling skill, Void Star, and playtesting reveals that performance is good with the following factors considered. Average roll on Autonicon's dress, inclusion of big all-skill roll on Elemental Bow affix pool, 12 to all skills from Max Familiar, easy availability of generic spell damage buffs, Fire Dance, Blood Fury, etc. Crowd control with Chrono Field. Skill changes. Now also gains a small amount of flat damage per skill level, in addition to more projectiles. At level 37, this is equivalent to a 57% damage buff, compared to previously, with the buff increasing with better gear. So it's levels become more important as opposed to just going off of your gear, which was the problem with the skill that was very gear dependent. Mana cost reduced, that's great. Projectile range increased, projectile speed increased. Again, overall, just like way better. Pentagram, we read a little bit about this one. Concept: specialize the skill a bit further to fit more defined gameplay role, increase power without compromising on the visuals too much. No cooldown casting equals nothing resembling a pentagram on the screen anymore. Yeah. And without making low frame casters the best in the room. Yeah. So harness the demonic / corruption theme more. So it's a melee spell instead of being a attack like it was. Or a pure caster, I forget. The above change makes the skill a great candidate as a single target addition or Bloodthorn's replacement for a ritualist. To make this skill more suitable for other classes, the character will also gain physical resist for a short time after casting. Ooh, excuse me. Very early in the morning still. This way, other classes can play melee caster with it too, and paladins don't benefit as much. The buffs will scale with the amount of unspent attribute points you have. The character has to sacrifice a part of themselves to harness the demonic power, and also as a nod to ancient Median XL nostalgia. Skill cooldown is reduced by 0.04 seconds for every 20 unspent attribute points you have, up to a maximum of 300. Minimum cooldown now 1 second compared to 1.6 before. A 60% damage buff while chain casting. So that means there's still going to be a cooldown on it, so I'll have to see how that looks. Gain 2% physical resist for 2 seconds after casting for every 20 unspent, up to 300, 30%. Yep. Mana cost doubled as it was not appropriate for a cooldown ability before. Item changes now added to the Veil of the Tainted Sun Sacred. Weird was changed. Establish a theme consistent with the visuals. Create scaling for stats that have not had such factors before. Creating use cases for items which were previously not popular. Tie holy visuals to theme. Skill changes. Skill is no longer targetable anywhere on the screen. It now appears a short distance away from you and works with melee-only restrictions. Cooldown removed. Always hits. Soul releases a nova every 0.4 seconds, down from 0.6. Now releases 3 novas per cast, down from 4. Mana cost greatly increased, 150 mana at level 1, rising by 2 mana per level. Deals damage based on the amount of magic damage added to your weapon. Starts at 40% and gains an additional 1% per skill level. Damage is increased by half of your damage to demons bonus. That's really nice. Item changes. No longer spawns on the Astroga's Moon set. The Overlord tiered unique has been reworked accordingly. Okay. Avalanche concept, make the skill easier to play and more powerful by enabling targets between the avalanche to take damage. Requires some sacrifice for builds wanting to use the skill this way, as otherwise it would be too generic. If you have at least 1,200 spell focus, double radius of frost explosions, 300% increased area effect. Wow. Guard Tower, improve the skill so that it becomes worth casting standalone. Further, use it to enable the often requested playstyle of a fortress character, as visuals and theme have synergy. Skill changes, weapon damage increased to 140%, up from 25. Wow, now targets an additional enemy in range every 10 skill levels. Guard towers, which are active while Fortress is also active, have their seek radius and enemy targets doubled. Tower duration is now always 5 seconds, and duration no longer increases with skill level. So this is basically just turning it into like a totem style build. Kind of. It seems like it'll play a little more like a trapper, honestly, with the 5 seconds always, right? So you'll be constantly putting down guard towers like you would traps, except it's physical attacks. It'll be weird. It'll be interesting to see what people do with it. Guard tower proc level on items reduced to 1. Existing items not affected. Guard tower relic proc chance now 1% down from 3. Skill level on the Heliopolis unique has been doubled. Proc chance on Chargebreaker has been halved. Proc chance on Wrathless Tyranny now 15% down from 25. Mount area 3-piece set bonus proc chance now 10% down from 20. Added plus 8 to 16 to guard tower as an affix on magic, rare, or crafted barbarian shields. Interesting. Death Star, skill which scales through stacking flat poison damage on gear and skills without the detrimental duration handling, which makes the stat suboptimal in normal use cases. Damage reduction from multiple item sources, exponential scaling from skill sources. The skill will be exclusive to classes who can best take advantage of the mechanic. Skill changes. Main projectile now pierces and does no damage. Instead, pulses every 0.4 seconds, poisoning enemies in an area around itself. Deals damage based on the combined poison damage per second of all of your skill and item sources. Deals 120% plus 6% per skill level of your combined poison damage per second. Gains an extra projectile every 15 skill levels to a maximum of 3. Poison duration is 2 seconds. The skill is not affected by poison spell damage, spell focus, and poison skill duration stat as weapon damage projectiles. Okay. So it's... That's an interesting one. Item changes, proc chance reduced from 5 to 2%. Excuse me. Man, skill level is now 1. Added plus 8 to 18 to Death Star as an affix on magic or crafted Amazon helms, assassin shields, assassin claws, and barbarian helms. Cataclysm. Skill cannot retain its current functionality as there are other Fire O skills which do the job better. Its mechanics are less suited to crowd clearing compared to Apocalypse and less suited to single target compared to Pentagram. The skill is widely available, so it must be reworked to provide benefits to many builds and paladins in particular. Renamed to Ignis Fatuus. No longer conscious of Fireball Nova around you, is now a long duration buff. Grants spell focus, fire damage to weapons, and reduces your fire resistance. Spell focus bonus is plus 5 per skill level until level 40 and plus 2 afterwards. Fire damage bonus is 12 to 20 per skill level. Okay. Fire resistance penalty is 1.5% per skill level. Duration is reduced to 20 seconds if you obtain this buff from proc. Armageddon set no longer gives a Cataclysm proc. Set bonus now 50% 50% increased Cataclysm bonuses. Removed all skill bonuses from items to balance the set for non-fire builds. NC Rune Word now procs Apocalypse. Chance is now 33% down from 40. Okay. Apostasy Rune Word now grants Pyroblast instead. Eternal Vigil proc removed. Other proc chances now 4% up from 3. Hammer of Dolm or Holm now procs Apocalypse. So yeah, it looks like they changed Cataclysm over to Apocalypse for a lot of them. They want to centralize that. Heart of Fire now procs Pyroblast. Bartux is Phoenix Wave. Valentaina's Sun is Pentagram. Proc level on the Magic Rare Affix crafted. Magic Rare crafted affix increased to 40 up from 19. Can now spawn as an affix on Druid Helms, Paladin Helms instead of Sorcerer's Orbs and Necromancer Staves. Okay. Searing Glow. Fix a big mechanical problem with the skill. It requires an enemy to click on, but primary target only gets hit once, while adjacent targets get hit 3 times. Make it fulfill 2 distinct roles better depending on thematic scaling. Skill changes. Damage increased by 50%. Attack rating debuff now 20% down from 25. Reworked mechanics so that all targets in radius now get hit 3 times per cast, including the main target, which is good. Skill changes its role based on the number of successfully corrupted items your character is wearing. Right, we did read about this. If you're wearing none of the powers of heaven, if you're wearing none, the powers of heaven imbue the skill, increasing debuff duration to 30 seconds. Enemy attack rating debuff increased from 20 to 35. If you are wearing one or more, the powers of hell imbue the skill, granting it 15% physical damage added as fire per successfully corrupted item worn. Relic skill bonus is now 9 to 11, down from 12 to 21. Now spawns as an O skill on Paladin shields, Amazon shields, Necromancer stays, and Druid helms. Okay. Another one that I probably won't use. Summon Sinner. Part of a trio of high-level elemental minions that can complement any summoner. These will leverage the other improved O skills in the patch with scaling that promotes more variety in summoner gearing. You will only be able to summon one type of elemental minion per build. Make summon counts scale with player level, providing a big power boost for simply playing the game. Helps characters using the skill progress further, even if they are unlucky with drops. Minion health doubled, now uses the reworked version of Apocalypse. Gains spell damage equal to 40% of your minion damage stat, down from 50. Gains 10 spell focus and 30 energy per skill level. Now starts with 10 Fire Pierce. Fire Pierce is increased by your bonus to minion attack rating. Base minion count is now 1. Gain an extra maximum minion at character levels 130, 140, 148. Now spawns an O skill with level bonus 10 to 16 on Necromancer shields, Necromancer wands, Amazon helms, Amazon shields. Barbarian swords, barbarian shields. So this is interesting for like the in Amazon fire elemental build to add on top of it. Glowing fungus, part of the trio. This is the same thing, but it does chaotic spark and lightning. Okay, Icelance. Currently doesn't have a role as coverage is too low to clear and damage is too low to boss. Transform the skill into a viable single target option. No longer pierces, no longer freezes as bosses are freeze immune anyway. Now deals damage in a small area. Initial projectile speed is now very low, but the lance accelerates rapidly. Now hits 3 times per impact, up from 1. Damage increased by 20%. Wow. That's a big buff. Increases and reductions to weapon physical damage now count as cold spell damage for the skill. Ooh, man. This helps physical builds leverage the large number of proc sources of this skill, as well as cold casters who can quickly weapon swap for a single target boost. So having Icelance on melee builds means that you'll actually be able to scale the damage of Icelance with your physical damage scaling, which is cool since as stated, it's a proc on a few things. Belts, 25% level 40 on melee attack proc on belts, in addition to plus 5, 10% cold pierce. Wow. This would have been really interesting for our ritualist. And I might even look into getting a belt with Icelance proc on it for that character just to try it out, because that could be fun. Summon Avalanche, the cold version, cold part of the trio, which uses, I'm assuming, Icelance, yeah. Void Archon, produce mana cost. Some basic changes. Item changes. Akar's robe can no longer be upgraded into War Cloak. Good. An HI elemental damage display is now orange instead of gold. Golden Cycle, fixed size. Desolation, halved magic damage from, wow, ultimate chaos damage increased by 120. Okay. The Shanker now adds 5 to 20% crushing blow depending on the tier. Quaffson's Fall, replaced with new unique dagger, sharp beak. Yes, we saw that. Dagger, Dirt, Crisp, Blade increased WSM on all tiers and damage at tier 1 to tier 2. Nice. That's their weapon speed, so they're faster weapons now and slightly more flat damage, because that was the big thing. The dagger weapons for like Were Owl, or if you're going to do melee necro with a dagger, the base damage was just so bad. You basically had to run Razorbeak, the tiered unique buckler, for the flat physical damage, because it was the only way to get it up to like a reasonable level. So seeing that the damage got a little buff, you'll probably still want to do Razorbeak for the extra flat, because, you know, it's still a dagger, but the increased flat damages at tier 1 and tier 2 is really nice for early game leveling. Corruption, rune words can now be corrupted crystals, recolored shards, and their appearance on ground. Fixed a bug where success chance was 22% to 9s rather than 33%, 1/3. And further increased to 40%, effectively nearly doubling the success chance compared to previous patch. Chance for corruption increasing level required is now 30% down from 33. Therefore, chances for success / nothing / failure are now 40, 30, and 30 respectively. Implemented corrupted cluster, so you can stack. Drop rates. Single player and multiplayer modes now share the same item ratio table, meaning the chance to find sets or uniques are now the same in both modes. The new rates are a middle ground of both, therefore meaning slightly increased unique set chance in multiplayer and slightly reduced in single player. Note that this drop change only affects item quality and doesn't and didn't affect any other items that didn't roll rarities, runes, shrines, relics, etc. Increased enhanced rune drop chances. Nice. Increased rune drop chance globally. Great, so maybe this will be the time when we finally find a Yist rune. Did the entire Paladin playthrough, which I could probably still do some more stuff on, and I may. But I did that entire playthrough hoping I'd find a Yist rune. Still, 2 whole playthroughs now, and I haven't found a single Yist rune. So that kind of sucks. Relics, big change with Relics. Relics are now charms and will no longer consume socket space. You have a maximum of 3 relics at any time in your inventory. Cannot carry the same relic twice. Balancing relics around having 1 and stacking 3+ has proven difficult, often leading to relics being underwhelming when not stacked. Instead, we are increasing the power, baseline, and limiting them in most cases. Relics now have required level 75, down from 120, which is nice. Relics can now drop on all difficulties, increase the skill level of all relics, added additional stats to all relics, including procs and orange effects, removed several relics with skills that were notoriously outdated / useless or highly abusable. Sacred uniques. Okay. Worshipper. Now reduce Bend the Shadow's cooldown by 1 second rather than 2. Gaze of the Dead now grants 150 damage to demons instead of 180 damage to the Zacharium. Ooh, 150 damage to demons instead of 180 to damage to the Zacharium actually makes this like way better. Plunderbird life percent bonus now 2 to 5, up from 1 to 3. Cool. Plunderbird's a really good SU for Were Owl if you're not using the set. Sky Spirit now adds 10% crushing blow instead of attack speed. Also nice. New Sacred Unique, Strix Claw Blade replaces Drow Valor. Sets Emerald Cloud. Crushing Blow increased to 5 to 10%. Now spawns with 0 to 1 maximum resistance. Now adds 11-25 enemy lightning resistance. I'm assuming that means Pierce. Emerald Flower. Increase flat physical damage. Increase flat cold and lightning damage. Remove fire. Replaces fire damage with 1 to 200 lightning damage. Emerald Sky cold damage increased. So this is the Were Owl set, I believe, right? The Emerald set. I believe that's what that is, and that is nice. It's a good change. Overall, the patch is a pretty good one. I like the changes to O skills. I don't know if I'm going to play an O skill or not for this character. There's a couple of these that are tempting, but of course, I do have to get the gear set up for playing O skill. So maybe I will end up making something. I'm mostly just like, some of the quality of life stuff is really cool. The changes to relics is what I'm really excited about. Handful of changes making some of these like Giyuwa like remotely doable on my characters. So I might go try Giyuwa on my Unholy Melee and perhaps my Javazon as well. Autonicon is actually looking like it might be slightly more doable now as well. So there's a bunch of things here that are pretty cool. Not too many crazy changes to classes. It's mostly focusing heavily on those O skills and the relic changes. So there is, I believe, a page for relics. Yeah, so they actually have all of the relics now, and there are a crap ton, and these all act as... My god, there's so many of them. These all act as charms. So you just put them in your inventory. In the first Age of Sanctuary, when the Nephilim, it's just lore, class skills, limited. I was wondering if they'd say... So basically, relics are going to be a lot more common now. Hopefully, you'll be able to find them in normal difficulty. So maybe we'll get lucky and find some relics as we're playing through. And Hellbale guarantees a drop. So I will probably do Hellbale again on my other characters and see what relics I get from them. Since they said you would be able to redo that. There's a lot of really cool things. 50 to 100 flat magic damage, life stolen per hit, bonus to Blade Storm. That's such a cool relic. Like, that is such a cool relic. That would actually be really cool for my melee necro. That'd be a really nice one. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. I'm not going to go through all the relics. There's way too many of these. But yeah, that was the patch notes. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and consider subscribing. And I'll catch you all a little bit later today for the first episode of patch 2.2. Take care.